And well underway. The home opener is this Friday. I will have a pair of home opener tickets for you on Friday, day of. All this week, though, I'll get you set up for Saturday's game, taking on the Mariners here at home. Guardians Mariners at Progressive Field. Download the MLB Ballpark app, tickets, info, all that stuff. 4 tickets for you for Saturday's game at Progressive Field. Guardians Mariners. And you'll hear it here on MMS. Caller 10, these are yours. Good luck. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
The Alan Cox Show.
Questions.
Don't come here expecting answers.
Who can provide the answer?
The one big question is, how is this on the air?
We need to understand why that is.
On 100.7 WMMS.
Guardians took 3 of 4 in that season opener series in Seattle that ended last night. Only the Royals, the Tigers, and the Phillies are still winless in Major League Baseball. Guardians stay on the West Coast before they come home. They're playing the Athletics tonight. 9:40 is the first pitch here on WMMS. And on the iHeartRadio app, listen to the game as well. I was clicking around and ended up watching the back half of Moneyball, speaking of the A's.
Great movie.
What a great movie. Fat Jonah Hill, not trying to be funny.
I was going to say he's serious then, if you liked it.
Yes, that's right. I don't think Jonah Hill's funny, but he's very good in dramas.
Kanye does, and it made him like Jews again.
Save the human race. Make sure he doesn't see you people. So Guardians A's tonight, 9:40. We will be set up on Friday at Corner Bar at Progressive Field. So if you're coming to the game, come by and say hello. And I'll have a pair of home opener tickets to give away a day of. So let's say you're milling about downtown, because they always call it a Cleveland holiday. There'll be a shot for you to get yourself into that game. I'll have another $1,000 for you in about 4 or 5 minutes here. We're back to another round of giving you some money. You get to get set up here with the Buzzard Bookie this time around, and you get keywords about 30 past every hour. Somebody texted me. We were talking about soccer teams before. That the soccer team needs to be called the Shin Guardians.
Hey, there it is.
That's all right. You can leave us messages, by the way, if you listen to us on the iHeartRadio app. There is that little red talkback button there, and you can always hit us up that way.
Hey, Al! Just listening to the show and about the story about the principal who got scammed out of $100,000. I work in cybersecurity. This happens all the time. Fake invoices. For instance, I sent a fake invoice for $200,000 to Dave iHeartMedia. He just sent it right over. I said it was urgent for Alan Cox. So, yeah, happens all the time. Okay, love you, bye.
All the time.
Happen.
Yeah, okay.
We got tight little purse strings around here.
Yeah, we do, right? That teacher, by the way, that got shot at school, Abby Zwerner in Virginia, that 6-year-old student who came to school and shot her, she's suing the school district for $40 million. Oof. You got to wonder where that money's going to come from.
You have to pass a bunch of levies, man.
Yeah. Hey, we had we're not really paying attention to gun violence in schools. We're trying to sell bulletproof backpacks over here. Abby Zwerner was the first grade teacher who got shot by one of her students there in Virginia. And she is saying that she's suing for gross negligence. It's pretty gross. And they were clearly negligent. She said they ignored multiple warnings on the day of the shooting that the boy had a gun and was in a violent mood. Imagine ignoring the warnings that hey, I think that kid might have a gun. Yeah. Because I think they had established that this kid was under a special set of circumstances at the school where he was required to be patted down every day.
At 6 years old.
Unless I'm mixing up my school shootings. They happen so frequently that it's really hard to keep them straight. So I might be thinking of another one, but there was, but this 6-year-old was also known to have some issues going on. Abby Zwerner is the 25-year-old teacher that was shot in the hand and the chest as she sat at a reading table for her classroom. I don't know if they had determined that the kid meant to shoot her specifically. I don't know. Again, there's so many of these school shootings that it's really hard to keep the facts straight on any given one of them. But her lawyers say that the school district knew that the kid had a history of random violence at school and at home, including an episode the year before where he strangled and choked his kindergarten teacher.
My goodness.
Who I guess in retrospect got off light. And that the school knew that this kid attacked people all the time, other students, teachers. They said in and out of school, this kid's motivation was to hammer anybody who got in front of him. And this is one of the kids, you might have heard post-COVID that there were certain students, there were teachers who kind of got a respite from having to deal with these kinds of students because they were all at home. They were on Zoom or they were doing whatever. And so when these kids came back to school, there were some school districts that were way less willing just to have students like that in school, just perpetually disruptive students. So that they said that there were so many red flags for this kid that it was just an inevitability based on what had been going on at home, that something like this was going to happen.
That's terrifying.
They put him on a modified schedule because he was chasing students around the playground with a belt and trying to whip them.
My goodness.
And cursing at staff and teachers.
When a student comes along,
you must whip it.
Whip 'em.
So under the modified schedule, one of his parents were required to accompany him. So anyway, she is suing the school district for $40 million, saying you guys had every single possible opportunity to not have this kid in a position where he could. I mean, again, this is utter and complete negligence on the part of the family because clearly they're not paying attention. They don't care. They got a kid who's clearly beyond their control, not locking their firearms up. You know, when people talk about, well, we can't do anything, there's a lot of states that are like, we need to have more secure, like securing your firearm laws. You know, if you want to be a responsible gun owner or whatever, and a lot of people do, they secure them, but a lot of people don't. And that's how you end up with stories like, how did a kindergartner get a gun? Because it was on the nightstand or some nonsense like that. Because there are so many people who really don't regard their firearms in any responsible way. And so you end up with situations like this. But she must be feeling herself because she's got new red hair and the whole bit.
She wants to look good.
Looks
in
like
court. She wants to look good in court.
Yeah. I wonder if that's important in a case like this. I mean, the facts are you were a teacher who was shot by a 6-year-old. I don't know if, like, how you look in court. You know, some cases you're going to want that. You know, if it's like, if you're the defendant in a murder case, you know, they always, if it's a dude or something, they clean him up. They get him a jacket, get him a tie. You know, they want to make him look like a little boy. Oh, look at my client. He couldn't possibly have done this. Kid's like a 25-year-old in a friggin' sweater vest or whatever. Trying to make him look dopey. But if you're the teacher, it's like, yeah, I was just trying to read to my class, and this kid shot me, and everybody in school knew that this kid was a pain in the ass. It was only a matter of time. Although she's probably happy it was her and not one of the other students.
Yeah, and that she lived. There's a lot of...
And that she lived. Yeah. So, you know, they'll probably settle with her for something. But $40 million. Let me give you, so it ain't no $40 million, but it's $1,000, a chance for you to get paid by the Buzzard bookie. Good luck.
This is your chance to bet with the Buzzard bookie and win $1,000 now. Enter this nationwide keyword at WMMS.com. Green. That's green. Enter it now at WMMS.com.
What's the betting part?
I think because sports betting's legal. I honestly don't know.
Okay. I got a letter from who? Maybe she wants to stay. I'll call her Kay in case she wants to be anonymous. We were talking about the guy on TikTok who really had some explaining to do with his wife because another woman's checkbook had been found in his car. And he's like, look, I have no idea how this got in there. If you're this woman, please hit me up. I'm trying to convince my wife that there's nothing hinky going on here. I really don't know how your checkbook got in my center console. His contention was it was nothing more than a mix-up of cars, like that it was unlocked. She thought it was her car, blah, blah, blah. So this girl writes me and says, I believe the guy with the checkbook just because a lot of weird things had to line up for something like this, similar to what happened to me. And she said, I had a last-minute invitation to go golfing. And it was she goes, I'm about a half an hour from my house without any golf attire. And I'm in high heels. But my friend said they had an extra pair of golf shoes, and I could wear those. So when we get to the golf course, he points to his car in the lot, says the shoes are in the trunk. So go over, get the golf shoes out of the trunk, throw my high heels in, do the 9 holes. When I tried to return the shoes to my friend, he said those weren't his shoes. And then I realized I probably ruined some guy's life because I threw my heels into another guy's trunk. So they had the same make and model or whatever, and, you know. My friend did not realize I was not wearing his shoes for 9 holes, but I was also not in the same cart with him. He was also a 26-year-old man, so mostly oblivious in general.
Who's leaving their cars unlocked like this? That's
Right.
That was my first thought. I lock my car when I go to the goddamn grocery store because I came out a couple of months ago. I'm with my daughter. I come out. There's an old woman sitting in my car. And I walk over. I'm like just walking to my car. And I see her in. I go, well, that must not be my car but she's sitting in my car.
I always lock my car.
Oh, this isn't my car. I go, Jesus, lady, get the hell out of it. What are you
old crone?
You old crone?
Get the hitter with the old crone.
She wasn't that old. Crone, you got to be old. This lady was like, I go, no. And she's obviously laughing it off. It's not like I'm going to thrash her or anything.
My girlfriend.
But my daughter's like, why is that lady in your car? I go, that's a great question.
I ran into the grocery store the other day, or like CVS, and as soon as I got out of my car, I locked the car. And my girlfriend was going to get out of the car too, but I had already locked it. So like my alarm starts going off, and she's like, why'd you lock me in? I was coming in too. I'm like, oh, I thought you were staying in the car. And also, I just immediately lock my car.
Yeah.
I lock my car, I lock my doors. I never leave anything unlocked. It's just the simplest thing to do, and there's no reason not to do it. It's especially with like the key fob where you're just pushing a button.
Honey,
So
I'm
people
trying.
that don't lock their cars make no sense to me.
Honey, I'm trying to give you a subtle hint that I'd like you to stay in the car.
Stay in the car.
Is it a little passive aggressive? Sure. Yeah, it's like the people. I have neighbors that go, we never lock our doors. I go, I hope you get robbed,
Burglarized.
Yeah, I don't know why
burgled, all the way through. Yeah.
I don't know why that's a point of pride for people.
Because to them, that means their neighborhood is great and safe and all that. And listen, it may very well be, but that's neither here nor there. That's not the point. Why wouldn't you do that? There's a reason there are locks on doors. You read these things about there's a rash of break-ins in this neighborhood, and then they come up, people didn't have their cars locked or the key was in the glove box. I'm like, what is this, a sitcom? You're putting your keys in your car didn't get broken into. They opened your door and found the key.
Well, that happened to me one time. I was in Toledo. A friend drove my car home from a gig. Didn't lock the car at night. He drove. I was drunk, right? So he drives home, doesn't lock the car. My purse gets stolen out of my car. And it had everything in it, my wallet, my credit cards, everything. And I went to the police station to report it, and they're like, well, your car wasn't locked, so technically nothing got stolen. I was like, no, it did get stolen, but they were like, or technically it wasn't a break-in.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, so what do you, and they're Toledo Police Department. They're like, we got way bigger fish to fry than your missing purse, lady.
Ma'am, this is the Glass City,
Right.
all right? And unless there was some that was broken, I'm sorry.
That's exactly what they said. They were basically like, sorry about your luck. You didn't lock your car.
This is
There's
a
nothing
Jeep
we can
town,
do
ma'am.
about it. Yeah.
I lock my car here at work.
I like it everywhere.
In the
I lock
garage.
it everywhere.
Yeah. Yes.
I lock it at my garage at home. When I had a garage that I park it in Lakewood, I just always lock the car.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing to do, and it stops the people that just go around and check for open doors. My ex-wife didn't lock her car doors, and she's like, someone was going through my car. I'm like, did you lock the car? And she's like, no, I never lock it. I'm like, well, then what do you think's going to happen?
Well, because some people say, I don't lock my car because there's nothing in it. And you go, okay, well, okay. So they're not going to steal anything out of it. They can steal your car.
Right.
They might not want the giant binder of 90s R&B CDs that you've got, sure. But they might want the car. I got to take a break. I'll have Coheed tickets for you on the way back. Coheed and Cambria, as I understand it, are coming to do a show. It's going to be May 10 at the Agora. So if you dig those guys, I'll hook you up coming back here. 35192 if you want to text for anything else, and we'll be back.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS.